Skippyjon Jones by Judy Schachner, read by Miss Jones. Every morning, Skippyjon Jones woke up with the birds, and this did not please his mother at all. "Get yourself down here right now, Mr. Kitten Britches," ordered Mama Junebug Jones. "No self-respecting cat ever slept with a flock of birds," she scolded, "or ate worms, or flew, or did his laundry in Mrs. Doohicky's bird bath." The lecture went on and on as usual. "You've got to do some serious thinking before you leave this room, Mr. Fuzzy Pants," said his mother, "about just what it means to be a cat. Not a bird, not a mouse or a grouse, not a moose or a goose, but a rat, not a rat or a bat. You need to think about just what it means to be a Siamese cat. And stay out of your closet," she added, closing the bedroom door. But once he was alone, Skippyjon Jones began to bounce and bounce and bounce on his big boy bed. "Oh, I'm Skippyjon Jones, and I bounce on my bed, and 1 or 6 times I land on my head." On his way down to earth from a gigantic big bounce, Skippyjon Jones shot past his bedroom mirror. "Holy guacamole!" exclaimed Skippyjon Jones. "What was that?" So up he went again, and again it appeared. Then, using his very best Spanish accent, he said, "My ears are too big for my head. My head is too big for my body. I am not a Siamese cat. I am a Chihuahua." Back on land, Skippyjon Jones climbed into his toy box and rifled through some of his old junk. After he put on his mask and sword and climbed onto his mouse, Skippyjon Jones began to sing in a moi soft voice. "My name is Skippito Fresquito. I fear not a single bandito. My manners are mellow. I'm sweet like the jello. I get the job done, your sentido." Back in the kitchen, Jujubee, Jezebel, and Jillyboo Jones were helping Mama Junebug Jones make lunch. "Can Skippyjon come out of his room now?" asked Jujubee. "No," answered Mama Junebug Jones. "Mr. Fluffernutter is still thinking." In fact, Skippyjon wasn't thinking about being a Siamese cat at all. With a walk into his closet, his thoughts took him down a lonesome desert road, far, far away in old Mexico. Not long into his journey, a mysterioso band of Chihuahuas appeared out of the dust. "Ay caramba, who goes there?" asked Skippyjon Jones. "We go by the name of Los Chimichangas," growled Don Diego, the biggest of the small ones. "Who are you?" "I am El Skippito, the great sword fighter," said Skippyjon Jones. Then the smallest of the small ones spoke up. "Why the mosquito, dude?" asked Poquito Tito. "I go incognito," said Skippito. "Do you like rice and beans?" said Pinto Tito. "See, I love mice and beans," said Skippito. "He might be the dog of our dreams," whispered Orsolita. "Perhaps," said Tia Mia, "if he knows the secret password." Leaning toward Don Diego, El Skippito half sneezed, half spoke the secret password into the Chihuahua's very large ear. "Ah, chubichu!" "Bless you," said Don Diego. "Gracias," said Skippito. "Then it is true," decreed Don Diego. "Yip, yippee, yippito, it's the end of Alfredo Pasito. Skippito is here, we have nothing to fear. Adios to the bad bambalito." Then all the chimichangas went crazy loco. First, they had a fiesta. Then, they took a siesta. But after waking up, the chimichangas got down to serious business. Using his paw, Don Diego drew a picture in the sand of the great bambalito for Skippito to see. A hush grew over the chimichangas so great that one could hear a whisker drop. "Alfredo Pasito," whispered the crowd. "El blimpo bambalito bandito." "See," said Poquito Tito, "the bandito steals our frijoles." "Not your beans," cried Skippito, outraged. "See," Poquito continued, "red beans, black beans, Boston baked and brew, cocoa, coffee, kidney beans, pinto and jelly too. And now he comes for us," Poquito added. "Por qué?" asked Skippito. "Because we are full of the beans too." Then Don Diego stood tall and in his most somber voice declared, "Yo quiero frijoles." "Huh?" asked Skippito. "The dude just wants his beans back," said Poquito Tito, "and you are the dog for the job." Me? Asked Skippito. Then all the chimichangas turned towards Skippito, the great sword fighter. But poor Skippito had no time for a plan, because in the blink of an eye a gigantic shadow darkened the landscape. The chimichangas scattered in all directions. Vamos, Skippito, or es you the bandito will eato, they cried. Skippito stood his ground, but his legs shimmied and shook like the jello, and his teeth chattered like the castanets. Then in a muy soft voice he said, My name is Skippito Fresquito. I fear not a single bandito. But Alfredo Bezito flew straight for Skippito until the bean-eating bandito hovered only inches away from the great sword fighter's face. Hale, frijoles, cried Skippito as he thrust his sword into the air. Suddenly went the bandito, landing on Skippito's sword, and quicker than one could say Chihuahua's cheese and crackers, every kind of bean came spilling out of Alfredo Bezito, the bambalito bandito. Then all the doggies burst into song. Yip, yippee, yippee-do. Our hero is a Skippito. He's the dog of our dreams who delivered the beans, and now we can make our burritos. But back at home, there was such a ruckus coming from Skippyjon's room that Mama Junebug Jones and the girls just had to find out what was going on. They raced down the hall to the kitty boy's room. Benguito, Crashito, Papito, Skippito, just in time to see Skippyjon's closet exploding. Then out flew Candy, Beanbag, doggies, and the kitty boy with his birthday piñata on his head. Skippyjon Jones, everyone cried. Hola, muchachitas, he said in a muy soft voice. Mama Junebug Jones lifted up Skippyjon and covered his head with furry kisses. What am I going to do with you, Mr. Cocoa Pugs? She scolded. That night, when he was supposed to be going to sleep, Skippyjon began to bounce and bounce on his big boy bed. Oh, I'm Skippyjon Jones with a mind of my own, and I'll bounce on my bed for hours. I know I'm a cat, but forget about that. Say good night, Skippyjon Jones called his mama. Buenas noches, mis amigos, said Skippyjon Jones. El fin.